Everybody, what's going on? It's Shane with Sugar for Brendan here. This message is going towards all the brewers and all the dispensaries and LPs out there. I just want to say that being a show that's dedicated towards, preventing impaired driving and making sure that everyone has, a safe ride home, making sure that everyone has a plan to stay safe and keep the roads safe as well as themselves. Um, I want to bring up this point, and I think this is something that a lot of people tend to forget, or it's a fact that they don't actually look into a lot, and it's something that we need to kind of stop doing. Actually, um, when you look at the grand scheme of things, when it comes to impaired driving, and I'm talking not just drunk driving, I'm also talking driving high, and things of that nature. Being that within the legal realm of things, um, brewers and dispensaries make a point of, they always say this, and in case you're not aware of it, they actually have to legally state that you have to drink responsibly, you have to smoke responsibly, you have to understand your body and everything like that, and you have to do things within the limits, because it's not just for a legal standpoint, it is also from a beneficiary point. Because what is the point of producing alcohol or marijuana if what happens is people get so addicted to this stuff that all of a sudden, you know, you die from it within, like, say 5 to 10 years, because with severe alcoholism and things of that nature, severe drug addicts, they do die fairly quicker than if you were to, like, have just maybe a couple drinks over your lifetime. And so breweries and dispensaries kind of realize that, what, if we want to sustain profit and we have to sustain, customers and everything like that, we have to ensure that people are doing this within the limits of themselves. Because honestly, yeah, from a profit standpoint, what's the point of having to sell something if all people are going to do is, like, just buy a crap ton of it up the front end, and then in the short term just die off, and then you just lose customers, you lose profit, and it just doesn't look good on the company in general, actually. And it's not to say that people who buy alcohol are being a representative of those companies. It's just, when you have to look at the grand scheme of things, it's just like, well, these companies are selling hard alcohol, wine, beer, liqueurs, whatever there may be. A lot of them tend to lean towards, more the heavier drinking side of things, whereas some people, uh, myself, I've decided to take the year off from drinking, like, alcohol. Like, I've only decided to drink non-alcoholic drinks, and it's not that I was an alcoholic or I was a much of a drinker to begin with, but I just made the point of just, like, you don't need alcohol to have a good time, and I think a lot of people tend to miss that fact as well when it comes to the realm of alcohol and marijuana, everything like that. Like, yeah, I've smoked CBD before and everything like that. Why? Because I was sober the entire time. I don't generally care for being high. I don't generally care for being drunk or anything like that. Like, yeah, like, for some people, they can handle their alcohol, and when they are drunk, they're generally a pretty happy person, which is, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just when you look at it long term, what's it going to cause on the back end of things? Because I've grown up with family that were alcoholics, and needless to say, they died pretty early, and in not such a good way either. So, with that keeping in mind, we need to understand that we have to be within a certain limit of things. We have to understand that, yeah, if you want to have a good time, once a weekend or whatever, something like that, that's totally up to you. And honestly, at the end of this, I can't tell what people are going to do or say, um, and I can't control or dictate what you do. Unfortunately, I really wish I could, because then that would just end impaired driving altogether. But back to my main point being that this is going towards all the brewers and dispensaries. Um, we don't blame you. We don't blame anything that you guys do or make. That's not, you guys aren't to blame for any of this. Like, any impaired driving under any conditions, it's not your fault. We understand that you guys are out there putting out the message of not drinking and driving, not driving impaired, because, yeah, you want to care about your customers, and you want to care about people and how they're living. And so yeah, people buy alcohol that's been around for centuries. We can't just forget that. Marijuana's been around even longer, I think. Um, so yeah, like this stuff is just, it's always been around. It's probably going to be around forever. Who knows? Um, but to the point is just like, yeah, we can't blame you guys for any of this, because another thing that I recognized, case in point here, non-alcoholic drinks. Brewers make them too. And if that doesn't enforce the fact that they want people to actually be responsible when they're drinking, and making sure that they're getting home safe, if you are the DD, even, like, I think I am sure this is more designed for the designated drivers, or people who are recovering alcoholics and everything like that. um, I'm sure this is more designated towards that aspect. However, is just the statement of, like, we make this product because we really do care that people don't drive impaired, plain and simple. Like, you have to look at it both from a business perspective and a humanitarian perspective. If it's going to kill someone, you got to put out the warnings out there. You got to provide alternatives, and that's what they're doing. A lot of these brewers are doing that nowadays, which is fantastic. Myself, I really support companies that more lean towards this aspect. Like, this is what, yeah, it says right on the label here. Like, I don't know if you can read that or not. Yeah, it's more along the lines of like 0.0% alcohol there. Typically, you hit around 0.05% alcohol when it comes to non-alcoholic drinks. So, I think, in that regard, why should we blame these brewing companies? Why should we blame these dispensaries for when someone gets killed by an impaired driver? To me, it just doesn't make sense. And that goes into more of the aspect of ethics and morals. At the end of the day, it's the person's fault, plain and simple. Like, why are we blaming external things? Why are we blaming all these other companies, all these products, and everything like that? The alcohol had nothing to do with it, per se. It's just that they chose to make the action of drinking excessively or smoking excessively, being impaired, and getting in their vehicle and driving. Plain and simple. It's their own actions. The beer didn't tell them to do it. The alcohol didn't tell them to do it. The weed didn't want to tell them to do it or anything like that. None of that stuff. The breweries, the dispensaries, none of them are telling people to go around drinking and driving or driving high. Plain and simple. And so with that, it's just, we recognize, yeah, and you just can't blame these people for it. It's the individual's fault, plain and simple. Like, we really need to start coming to the conclusion, because a lot of the legal system tends to ignore that fact, I find. And if you've ever been in the case of, impaired driving, myself being a victim and also being in the court system, I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of people tend to think that just because you're an alcoholic, you're getting off scot-free. Like, it's a disease. Oh, it's incurable, or it's just like things like that nature. You can recover from any addiction. It's some of it hard, maybe harder than others, but the point is you can still recover. So if you can recover from it, then you can also make the choice to not do it in the first place, I think. That's just my own perspective. That's not the show's perspective, so I just want to point that out there right away in case anyone is starting to give a little bit of flack on that. But I wanted to talk about this because, again, like I said, we don't blame brewers, we don't blame dispensaries, we don't blame any of those people. That's not the company's fault that people do this kind of stuff. It is the individual's fault, plain and simple. And I just wanted to point that out. So, anyways, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, keeping safe, washing your hands, and for those of you that are more of the weaker immune system nature, please stay inside. It's for your benefit, and we want to make sure that with the new show coming up that we do keep a physical show. We want a physical show to happen. However, we do have the necessary steps putting in place for a virtual show if that is the case, that we do not have a physical show. More details can be shown on that in our Facebook page, and be sure to follow our Instagram and everything like that. I run that myself, so I always like to put up, fun jokes or just small updates and, maybe flashbacks to previous shows. So yeah, just want to point that out there. And anyways, hope you're all having an amazing day. Remember, stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive high. Always make a plan. Make sure that you have a safe ride home. Always, when in doubt, we have a great partnership with Keys Please, based in Calgary, and I think they have a situation up in Edmonton. Um, be sure to give them a call, and they will give you a safe ride home with your ride, because they have a designated driving system that allows for both you to get home safe and your ride to get home safe with 2 drivers. So we highly recommend that company. We highly recommend their services. They're a wonderful company. We're so grateful for their support over these years. Can't recommend them highly enough. And yeah, just remember, don't drive impaired, and make sure you have a safe ride home. So anyways, hope you have an awesome day. Later.